What is up, you guys? Orlando here with Elisha Record Studio. Let's talk about compression. And remember, if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. You know the drill. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any other video from us. On today's tutorial, I want to go to the basics of compression. What we're going to do is we're going to try that with some drums. If you're a beginner, you want to be on this video because I'm going to teach you the basics of compression and maybe start comprehending a little bit more how to work with your own compressors at home. Okay, so here we have a mix. I'm going to play that for you. So technically this is not mixed yet. It doesn't have any effects whatsoever. This is the bus where all the drums are routed. So I'm going to play the drums really quick and I'm just going to select this portion right here. Okay, so we're gonna work with this compressor because he has all the basics of compression. So this is a compressor from Kilohertz. It's a pretty simple, right to the point compression plugin for you to understand the concept behind it. You have the basic knobs here on this one. First, let me explain to you what every knob does. Okay, so the threshold basically is this line, this blue line here. You can actually grab it right here on this plugin, of course. This applies to every compressor out there. So threshold is gonna control when the signal is gonna start getting compressed. So basically, once it passes certain threshold, you're gonna see the signal, coming down and being compressed. So for example, that being minus 10 dB, okay? So minus 20 dB, minus 30 dB. So this line right here, it's gonna show once it passes that blue line, it will start compressing, okay? So that's what the threshold is doing. It's basically setting the limit. It's basically saying, you know what? I'm not going to compress anything, okay? Or I'm going to compress starting from 20 dB, okay? So basically setting the standard there on when to start compressing. The ratio, it's doing something similar. If you put 1:1, it's not going to compress anything because it's basically saying after the signal passes this blue line, I'm going to start compressing. But if you put it 1:1, it means that 1 dB is going to pass that and 1 dB is going to come out of it. So technically, that's not compression. That's not compressing at all. Okay. So once you start moving up, you're going to start seeing like, for example, basics like 2:1. It's going to mean that if a signal, it's going to pass and it's, 2 dB louder than this point, that this blue line, it's going to compress 1 dB of it and it's only going to let pass 1 dB, okay? With ratio, you can go higher. For example, 4:1, if the signal is going to be 4 dB louder than this line right here, is only going to let pass 1 dB, okay? This sets how much compression are you going to get after this point, right? So that's the basics there. The attack and release are probably what most people get confused by. In general terms, the attack is how fast this compressor is going to start compressing the signal once passes that point, that threshold point, okay? It's going to wait, for example, 20 milliseconds. This is in milliseconds, ms. It's going to wait 20 milliseconds and then it's going to start compressing. The release is the complete opposite. After it's being compressed and it's moving down below 20, it's going to say, well, after 23 milliseconds, I'm going to let go of that signal, okay? So it's the complete opposite. And the makeup gain is basically once you start compressing and you have a gain reduction of like 4 dB, you can go here and say, I want 4 dB. This one is based on percentage. You can actually do it by ear, see what the original signal is, the volume, and match that signal with what's coming out of the compressor. Okay, so always be matching the volume. So that's the pretty bare bone basics of compression. Let's work with these drums so you can actually hear. Okay, 2-to-1 is mostly what I use anyways, unless I'm compressing something extra, and you can go like infinite to 1 or 20-to-1. Let's hear these drums and let's start compressing. So you're gonna see the signal here. So the signal is hanging out here. So right now there's no compression happening because the threshold is up here. So unless I lower that, and now you can start seeing that it's reducing the volume. So it means it's start compressing that signal already, okay? If I go like that, it's compressing, it's doing a gain reduction of like 10 dB. So you can hear that it's less volume, of course, before. And how you match that is with the makeup gain. So basically, threshold and makeup gain is the first two things that you need to do, and try to, match the volume, of course. So that's the signal compress. So with drums, with attack and release, which are kind of the secret weapons of compression, most of the times, actually, I go 50 milliseconds and 50 milliseconds in the release. Almost always start with those settings with attack and release, and then move and see if I want to do something different. So let's try that, and we're going to compress this again. So you can start seeing that it's compressing already, and I'm gaining more transients. So that's what I play with the attack and the release, because I want more transients to come in, and the compressor is saying, okay, I'm gonna wait for 118 milliseconds before start compressing, and that's why you can hear the pump and the transients coming up through the compression. And then super fast release, 3 milliseconds, and it's gonna let the signal go. So I'm getting more natural sound. It's kind of a more like a tone thing, and you can work. So the key with everything, you need to work with the compression and move the knobs and see what works for you, and for the sound that you want to create, but understanding, of course, the basics. And with the makeup gain, I just, give it a little bit extra makeup gain there because I'm losing volume and I want to match the volume I had before, of course. So before and after, before. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please, if you're new to this channel again, consider subscribing. You know the drill. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any other video from us. And if you want to know more about compression and other types of compressors as well, please leave me a comment below and let me know. So that's all for today. Don't stress, do your best, be blessed, forget the rest. See you in the next tutorial.